two ways of kind of warning signs that your brain may be narrow framing and making your decision too simple. One is, as we talked about, X or not X. Either I take this job or I don't. The other is X or Y. Either I buy the Camry or I buy the Prius. And then the third is
status quo.
I stick with what I've got.
Right. They're all very common.
Totally.
But I definitely see that in a lot of employees who, I mean, like we had one lady who was very unhappy with her job. And you and I had the conversation about her.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Tell them the whole story. Nobody's going to ever know who this is. This is a great story.
Oh, so this lady.
Tell the whole story. You came in because she was blowing up somebody else.
That's right. So we were doing coaching with another company.
Oh, this is one of my favorite stories of the whole time.
Basically, everybody was afraid of this woman.
Everybody. She had a ton of status.
And
she struck fear in the hearts of...
Oh, and she would jack you up.
Oh.
So even the organizer who was trying to get like the 360 done had like serious interaction with her where like she just reamed him out. And like
these are people with clout. Like she's reaming a guy who's basically on speaking terms with the number 3 in the organ. Like he's like fishing buddies with the number 3 in the organization.
But it's worse than that though. Oh. Not only is she reaming him out and he's actually a really nice person, but she's also wrong.
Completely.
So and like showing up late for the stuff and just
whole nine.
She just did not care.
Nope.
And so anyway, we had our time together and...
Meaning you were coaching her.
I was coaching her.
Yeah. Because she was late.
She was late.
So she got bounced out of her original coach.
No. They put her with me before she was late.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because everybody else was afraid of her. So this is what happens. Like, you know, when people are afraid of their employee, they give them to Cindi. Because
that's true. I do. God knows I do.
Yes, you do. You often give me the ones that are the scariest. And this has been the story of my life. So she came in like a cyclone.
Yep.
Late,
wrong.
And, you know, she's just laying it out, like all the anger and how the job is jacked up. And I just looked at her and I said, why don't you look for another job? Like, you're not happy.
That's right.
So why don't you look for another job and just start the search, and then we can have a conversation as you're thinking through it. But like, you are not happy and you should not be living this way.
Yeah. And it wasn't even, she hadn't even considered it.
Right.
She'd been miserable for months probably.
Right. And that's the status quo part.
Yep.
Is that like, she just took for granted that she had this job.
Yep.
Like just no other possibilities were even entering her mind. And so she was just living with it. And I think when you're really, really busy, because again, like that's the brain issue, right? So when you're really, really busy anyway, then I think you can just like sort of not get around to even thinking about making a decision until somebody is like, what are you doing? There's the possible decision here. The other example that I would say in recent times makes me think of the status quo was COVID. I remember March, 2020, when everything got shut down and like it was going to get shut down for a month. And like, I am a doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. And I remember thinking, what good does a month do? Right? Like, this thing isn't going to be gone in a month. Like, it's going to slow the spread because everybody was home, but it's not going to allow us to open back up. It's not going to be gone. And so with that reality, I then started making decisions about how to move forward, and you as well, how to move forward given this new reality while I was watching almost everybody else around us basically hole up for a month, trying to hold on to the past life and not making decisions at that point based on this is the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually moved.
Yeah.
We actually left.
Yeah. We were the first people to go to the beach.
Yeah. We actually left. Yeah. A setup that was pretty
Nice. It was
old
nice.
work conducive, meaning pre-COVID work conducive in Austin. And we moved to Tampa because there was no need. Yeah. We could
this
just
isn't
fly
gonna happen.
back if we needed to. And yeah.
Right.
Yep, I get it. And there were other things that we did. But yes, we moved to the beach before almost anybody else was moving. And that's because you got out of the status quo faster than almost anybody on COVID, on what was going on.
Right.
Of the status quo, meaning if we just wait for a little bit, we can go back to the way things were.
Right. That was not going to happen quickly.
Very true.
And so, that's just a more global version where I think, I think it's fair to say that most of the world did that. And you got to, like, when you're in those situations where like you're waiting for things to just go back to what they were, you have to actually stop yourself and go, what if this is the new reality? Like, I learned this, actually, this is a good story. I mean, it's a short story, but there was a time period in my PhD program where like, it was just, I was having a rough time. There was just a lot of stuff going on with the people around me. And
my dad died in the middle of the program.
That happened. Yes. And so anyway, I'm having a conversation with my advisor, and I haven't like gotten anything done that I was supposed to get done. And I'm like basically saying, I just need a bit of time for everything to sort of settle out so I can get back to it. And she looks at me and she says, what if this is just the new reality? And when somebody says something sometimes and it just hits you as truth.
Yeah.
And I went home and I was like, what if this is the new reality? How do I actually function in this reality? And I remember when COVID hit, I was thinking, what if this is the new reality? And then trying to figure out what I do in that new reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to me how often our coaching involves basically encouraging people to think just a teensy bit more creatively because they're stuck. Like we all get stuck in the status quo, what we're doing now, what we've done before. And, we've made kind of our bread and butter in some ways in these conversations is just to say, all right, come on, let's build the alternatives. I sometimes stick my hand up and I'm like, all right, you're telling me I'm taking this or not. I'm not leaving here until we have 5 alternatives. This job, the other job, or didn't you have a side hustle? Keep working the side hustle. Don't you know somebody who just did this job? Whatever. And then we just keep adding, experimenting with the job, doing part of a job, getting the opportunity to try something out for a little bit before you do it is all extremely important. We had a guy, good friend of ours, his son, basically was looking about changing careers and thought he wanted to be a firefighter. And so,
and we know a lot about firefighters.
Yeah, we know, a lot of our clients are fire departments. We know a lot of firefighters. And so in the way that the world works, he was like, well, either I have to quit my job or I have to be a firefighter. And then,
which is so not true.
Yeah. So we heard about this and we were like, look, we call our buddy, can he do a shift or 2? Yeah, sure. And so the guy, our buddy's friend, just took a weekend, a Saturday and a Sunday, and worked as a firefighter. Just kind of tag along. And at the end of it, he's like, that was awesome, but I cannot do this for a living. I'm not built for this. And it was over in 48 hours. The guy had an answer that he might have, had he not run an experiment in the terms what we're talking about, expanded out from the narrow frame. And instead of deciding, keep my current job or become a firefighter, X or Y, well, we expanded it to how about Z, a third choice. Go spend a weekend with our buddy in his fire department, 48 hours, 2 shifts. See what you think?
Yeah. And then the obvious other option for anyone thinking about firefighting, like they're often on 2 days and then off the rest. And oftentimes you can get another job that will work well with that particular schedule.
Yeah, that's right. You could be a firefighter and be something else. And I have to go through my memory bank, but I'm sure we know people who actually had a job that they converted to part-time and then went firefighting. I mean,
We actually know people, but a lot of them are actually between healthcare and firefighting, because like there's a lot of overlap anyway, especially with the EMT aspect of it, but also like a lot of hospitals are on a 12-hour shift. And so like if you're doing 48 fire and then you're doing like a 12-hour shift somewhere else, you can balance those two out pretty nicely.
Yeah. Yeah. This topic is important because for a lot of our decisions,
we don't think creatively enough.
They're suboptimal. We're actually picking, and we're talking here about what you and I sometimes talk about, medium decisions and higher. And so the fact that we narrow frame lunch, either we go to Papacitos or we go to Papa Dough, X or Y, who cares? Doesn't matter. But this matters.
Right.
Do I quit my job? Do I keep my current job or do I become a firefighter? That, you know what? That matters. That's a gigantic life move.
Right. That's X or Y.
Yeah. And we need to try to expand those out. I mean, if you don't remember anything else, if the decision is in any way significant to you, you should be generating 3 or more options. And be careful when your brain prods you. Come on, man. Come on. Either we're doing this or we don't. Come on. Are we doing this or we're not?
Right. I think a lot of the brain prodding is, there's a level of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually important to recognize that when like you are even if you're only looking at 2 options, which obviously we don't recommend, we recommend 3 to 5. And if you can't come up with 3 to 5 on your own, then talk to somebody and help and work with them to come up with 3 to 5. But the status quo has like a huge advantage over the other options.
Yep.
Because all the other options represent some level of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And we will make a decision just to avoid uncertainty.
Yeah. We talked about there's a website that basically ran a virtual coin flipper, and they asked people to bring significant life decisions that they've been struggling with, bring them to the coin flipper, and then basically enter in, what's the decision? Should I take this job? Should I get married? Should I move to Idaho? Enter them in. And by the way, it's narrow framed, either I'm going to do this or I'm not, and then put it to a coin and flip a virtual coin. And then it asks them to commit to doing whatever the coin said.
Mm-hmm. It's the magic. It's a new age magic 8-ball.
Yeah. And then there was enough people who did this in the low thousands where they were able to actually run a statistical analysis on it. And people were more happy when the coin flip suggested breaking the status quo, moving to Idaho, taking a new job, buying an RV or whatever. I mean, that buying an RV is probably not a good example, but because it was asking about big life decisions. And I don't know that an RV is, but this idea that the status quo, as you said, exerts such a force that when we go against it, more often than not, we're happier because we're a little bit reluctant.